So Shabbat Shalom, and it is an honor to be here. 100 years is a long time, and I think that, as you heard earlier from Brad Lander, 100 years in the future is also a long time. But I know SAJ is going to be doing the same things, the same wonderful contributions forever. And I want to say, from my perspective, I have been here because of a person named Ruth Messenger. I wouldn't be borough president without Ruth. I wouldn't be in the city council without Ruth. I wouldn't be anywhere, and I want to thank her. I know she's on Zoom. We also teach together at Hunter College. Can you imagine? Not me, but how great it is for the students to hear her 8 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. They don't like that time, but they show up. And teaching with Ruth for many years has been a real honor also. So I always think of SAJ as a place when the world is going to pieces. You come to SAJ and you figure out how to handle all those pieces. And the discussions that take place here for 100 years and 100 years into the future, I wish that they could be taking place in all communities, because the way that the congregants go about thinking about things is so instructive and so helpful. Obviously, I do remember Rabbi Strassfeld. I have to say, I love seeing Christos, the gates, those orange flags in Central Park in 2005. And I remember, I'm a hoarder of paper, but I could not find that friggin' piece of paper when you wrote all about the flags. It was the most wonderful piece I'd ever read. Internet didn't have it. Internet does not have everything. And so I just want to say that was one example of the thinking that goes into this amazing congregation. And I remember, as you heard earlier from Brad, standing at the Lucerne, talk about controversial issues on the Upper West Side, international press. We call him Kay, but his real name is Reverend Carpin. And your wonderful Rabbi Lauren Herman were there. And it was very challenging. That's another example of the great thinking and support that comes from SAJ. It doesn't come from everywhere. It doesn't come in communities across this city or even this nation. And so for the 100 years, all I can think of is you have been doing it over and over again. And without your voice, it would be a very different city. I also know that, things like domestic workers and challenges that we've all had in terms of workforce issues, you have been in the forefront. The list is very, very long. I also want to just say that in today's world, we obviously supported the grief, for lack of a better word, of the killing. Brad and I, and certainly the borough president and many thousands of others were at St. Patrick's yesterday. And I think if you saw it on television, or maybe you were there, or maybe you were in the streets, the grief was so profound. As the mayor said, it was a national grief. People from all walks of life felt the same way, so we were reunited in that. And this was a young man that had incredible potential. But what was also interesting, and I think Brad and Mark might agree, and also the congressman, was that his wife was also incredible. She was a person sort of in the SAJ tradition that spoke her mind even when it's not popular. I think you all saw some of the things she said. She talked about her personal discussion with her husband that day, which was not comfortable. And then she talked about our district attorney in Manhattan, who I happen to like, but he's made some mistakes in, we might say, messaging. That would be one way of saying it. She talked about it right there in front of millions and the nation. So just a combination of that kind of family was so profound, not to mention immigrants, and not to mention the great words of the police commissioner who spoke Spanish and English, the rabbi, the cardinal, speaking in Spanish, opening remarks. What a great city. What a great city. And SAJ is right there in that tradition. So when I think about the work that you do and your history, I just think about the ways in which you have brought all of us along. I happen to also love that Rabbi Levitt, I always call JCC Grand Central Station, because the work that goes on there brings people, but just the way that she built up that institution in terms of our community is something that is also, we're so proud. It was a gas station, I don't know if you remember, and she made it Grand Central Station in the best sense of the word. Without all the problems of Grand Central Station, but all the joy of being a New York institution, and so I'm a big fan of that particular individual. So I'm here just like everybody else to say how much you stand for, Judaism that stands for all. I am not going to read the whole proclamation, but I want to echo what others have said, and particularly the fact that it was March 18th, 1922, first bat mitzvah, and first time that there were also classes for women who grew up without that opportunity, not to mention for young people. Judaism that stands for all is certainly what you're all about. 100 years, as I said, is an awful long time. And so be it known that I, Gale Brewer, council member of the 6th District for the second time, it is hysterical. I found my business cards from 20 years ago. That's hysterical. I gave them out the other day. I was at the vigil, again, at the 3-2 precinct for the 2 officers who were murdered. And, you know, you're back and you have to say that you're there. So I snuck in my 20-year-old business card, and it worked. So what comes around goes around in the best words. SAJ-Judaism that stands for all, in celebration of your glorious 100th anniversary, for your enduring contributions and outstanding service in New York City and the Jewish community, 29 January 2022, Gale Brewer, 6th District again. Thank you very much.